No matter the time of year, getting financially stable requires you to understand your personal finances. And in this video, I'm going to give you my 6 steps to get you on the right path to financial freedom. I'm Jay Jones and this is Jonesing for Stocks. Personal finances is not about just having money in your bank account. Personal finances is having the ability to understand your current financial situation. This includes understanding your budget, your taxes, insurance, how much income you make, and you can become financially literate by developing this skill over time. For many of us, finances wasn't a topic that we learned about growing up. Instead, it was something that we learned throughout life through trial and error. To help you on the road to financial freedom, I simplified 6 steps to get you on the right path. Each of these steps is a complex situation, so it's important as an individual that you do your own research. First would be to identify your current financial situation. If you don't know where you're standing, then it's impossible for you to know what you need to work on. This includes a breakdown of what your income is, how much money you're making, and how much money you're spending. This also means to outline what your current debts are, breaking down your interest rates and payment dates. You should also know what your current household income is. This will help you calculate your net worth. A quick tip on identifying your situation is that the bank that you currently use may offer a service that will help you identify how much money you make and spend each month. The second step would be establish a budget and eliminate any useless purchases. Because you established how much money you're making in the previous step, setting up a budget will help you pipeline on where your money should be going each month. You should break down your budget into categories such as debts, fixed purchases, and subscriptions. And with these detailed on your budget, this should help outline where you want your money to go. Here you can plan on getting rid of any expenses that you barely need or use, such as subscriptions. And begin setting a limit on how much money you spend on food each month. Takeout can be a major area to cut costs. Give yourself a cushion of error when setting up your budget. Setting yourself too strict could have a negative effect where you just give up entirely. So it's important that you find the right balance for yourself. You can break this down into 50-30-20. 50% of your needs, 30% of your wants, and 20% of savings. A tip for this step is that there's plenty of online tools to help you set up a budget, or you can even create your own budget using Microsoft Excel or Google Sheets. The third step is to make sure that you keep track of these habits. Whenever you get paid, or at the end of each month, you should make sure that you go back and keep track of how much money you're spending. It is important that you find out where your money is going and keeping track of every penny. And by tracking it, you can find out where you need to adjust your habits. By tracking it this often, you can make sure that you adjust your budget accordingly, as you may need to adjust it for unforeseen expenses. Being able to track your spending is an important step in saving your money. The fourth step is paying down your debts. Depending on how much debt you have and where it's allocated is how you should tackle this step. For this step, I'm going to exclude mortgages as there's too many variables to understand if this is a negative or a positive debt. There are 2 methods that you can tackle your debt with, the first being the snowball method, which focuses on the smallest amount of debt first and then tackles the greater ones later, and the second method being the avalanche method. This method pays down whichever has the highest interest rate first. Both of these methods chooses a selective debt and then compounds the payments towards the next one down the ladder, creating a payment method to pay them off faster. A tip for this step would be to look into debt relief options as your personal situation might require it. The 5th step would be establish an emergency fund. An emergency fund is just that, for emergencies, not for vacations or useless spending. This fund is in case if anything goes bad, you have room for an emergency. Everyone would have a different amount for this fund, but a minimum rule of thumb would be 3 to 6 months of expenses. Here you can see where the different amount of expenses is required, as a person living with their parents wouldn't require as much as a full family. One of the best ways to build up an emergency fund is to set aside a percentage of saving of your income into a separate bank account. Depending on your employer, you may be able to set up an allotment to have this money automatically withdrawn from your income. And if you don't have this option, you can always set up a recurring payment within your bank to have the money set aside. And it's important that you keep this money separate from your checking account, as it adds one layer of friction so you're not tempted to spend it. One tip for an emergency fund is to make sure your money is in a high yield savings account. That way your money is earning interest while it's being set aside. Right now, the average return for a savings account is 0.06%, so finding an account with a higher rate can allow you a greater return of your money. The 6th and final step would be investing in your future. Investing comes in multiple forms. You can increase your money in your retirement accounts, such as your 401k or your IRA. You can increase the investments in your children, such as their 529 or their custodial accounts. You can invest the money in a taxable brokerage account, putting money into the stock market. And you can invest in your household. This means learning a new trade or fixing things around the house to create value. The main importance of investing is to increase your value over time. Here are some side tips to help you along your journey. It is important for you to understand your finances and become financially literate. You can complete this with online tools, and you shouldn't have to pay someone hundreds of dollars just to find out what's going on within your finances for something that you could do for free. And the second tip would be to establish short-term and long-term milestones. It's important that you make these milestones realistic and within your timeline. Using these goals can have you looking forward to the next goal, making a mountain look like a hill. And these are just some of the steps to help you on your future goal to financial freedom. There are many tools that help guide you on this journey, and the first step is just searching for information. And if you got any value from this video, don't forget to like and subscribe so I can continue making content like this.